Go for it.
Okay. Testing, testing. Today on Quality Time with Family Ties, we learn Brandon Tartikoff had an amazing amount of patience.
And in 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome to Quality Time with Family Ties. I am one of your hosts, Scott Jones. Joining me as always is Mr. Paul Packler. Paul, how are you?
I'm good, and I'm a little sad.
What?
That
Why are
even
you sad?
this
Yeah.
this season that we joked about, that we hated at times. I think once we liked it at one point. Even that is coming to an end. I feel like in season 6 or 7, we'll look back on this season and be like, oh, that was the good times.
The good time. I am proud of us for making it through an entire season. We've done 22 episodes, and I've never shown this much dedication to anything, I think, in my entire life.
We know, Scott.
I'm sure Carrie and Henry will be happy about that.
Just being honest.
His child is crawling on the ceiling like the heroin baby.
He's fine. He's fine. He's perfectly fine. He knows about scissors. He's fine. You didn't tell him to put him down, he'll put him down. Sure, he doesn't have as much hair.
No, of course.
Yeah.
No, actually, no. Harry has a great head of hair.
He does.
He does.
He's
like a mini
of
Samson.
Henry.
He's a mini Samson.
Yeah.
Corey, how are you?
Oh, I'm great. Couldn't be better. My back is so much better than it was last week.
I'm sure.
It's feeling much
better. Well, if you're playing at home, this is Season 1, Episode 22, the last of the season. The title, Elise d'Arc. I was very confused on the title. Do any of you guys know the reference is supposed to be?
Joan of Arc?
Yeah, I mean, that was my thought, but...
That she's a martyr?
Yeah, she really wasn't a martyr, though.
Not really.
It kind of was...
I think it's like a backhanded compliment of feminism, that Joan of Arc was this famous female... saint and martyr and women who was doing something in a man's world of being a soldier and stuff like that. So I think it's like a backhanded thing of like Elise is doing it all. She's a mom and she's got a job and she's got stuff that she does, and I feel like it's kind of shitty.
But she's got committees. I mean, when she lists it's either at the end of the first act or the beginning of the second act, when she lists all of the stuff that she's involved with, it's pretty mind-boggling that she has 3 kids and a husband and a career as well.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. One thing I'll just right out of the gates want to point this out. This is actually, by the production code on Wikipedia, this was actually supposed to be the second episode, and then they used it as the season finale.
And I guess they probably used it because they came back to, as the season started, I said at the very beginning of the season, I thought that the first couple of episodes that the show was originally, yes, it's about a family, but it's about the marriage and the family, the marriage and the children. And this episode sort of came full circle to me, and it was really about Stephen and Elise.
Yeah.
And that's, I'll say this right out as well, is that to me, this was a pretty boring episode. However, it's kind of my favorite episode of the season. It's just like a really nice, Corey, you talked about it throughout the season, about dramedies and, Jay Tarsus writing dramedies that were failed, but, critical darlings and stuff like that. This episode felt like a one-act play where the arguments that Stephen and Elise have about modern womanhood and mom's role in the 80s and stuff like that, and a father's role in a relationship and what he should expect from a wife role and stuff like that. It's very even-handed in its discussion. There's a couple times that Stephen's kind of shitty, I think, and then, but ultimately, it's a very, all the gun stuff, all the other, Mallory getting molested. This one was the one that to me felt the sanest discussion of an issue.
It was very real.
A discussion that people have. Are you paying enough attention to me?
Mm-hmm.
Think of Death of a Salesman. Attention must be paid.
Yeah,
You got to pay them.
good.
And that's something that men generally require a little bit more of than women do. And I thought it was timely, and yet I think there's a timeless quality to it as well. I think it's still an argument between men and women. Yes, go and have a job. Go have a family. Go have a life. Be interested. But when I want you to pay attention to me, pay attention to me.
Yeah. I have to say, and I could relate very much to it. Being, very, I was like, yeah, that's kind of me sometimes. I was like, I kind of identify with that. I'm not, and
I agree with you, Paul, where you said that sometimes Stephen seems a little whiny and victim-y, and I agree, and I think that that's sort of the double-edged sword here. I think that's the very interesting part. He even admits, I'm not very proud of myself. He's not happy with his own feelings of feeling the need for attention, but he needs attention. If that's what your feeling is, that's what your feeling is. You can't change it.
Right. And they do set up the whining in kind of a good way, because they do give him something of a legitimate reason to be upset, too.
Certainly by the end of the episode, he's got a really legitimate reason.
Absolutely, exactly. By the time we get to the dining room, then he really has a, so that strength was really good. But we start off, speaking of how much Elise has on her platter, we start off automatically in the living room. Elise is hard at work with a committee, which all looks like PTA women, planning a rezoning bill.
The Highway Construction Committee.
Right, trying to fight against it, doing what Elise does best. And they have stacks and stacks of documents, boxes. They are working hard at this. And then we cut quickly to the kitchen, and Stephen comes in announcing he has won a Murray Award, which I guess is something in Ohio. And it's for Best Outstanding Documentary, The Egrets Regrets.
That piece of yellow journalism. Hippie tripe.
Yeah. Forget Going Clear. Watch The Egrets Regret. It's going to blow your mind.
Yeah. It's the Blackfish of 1981 Columbus, Ohio PBS documentary.
Yep. And Alex even makes a point. It's like, they told it all from the Egrets' point of view.
Yeah.
Well, it was a little too liberal for him, probably.
Yeah. Stupid Egrets.
I don't even know what that is. That's a bird, right?
Yeah, it's a bird. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, Stephen, there's this great bit. Stephen makes a big announcement from the hallway, and the award goes to Stephen Keaton, and he walks in, and Elise is upstairs, so she misses it, and all the PTA women turn and look at him, and he is embarrassed.
Poor Stephen. I felt terrible for him.
Well, he just won an award. And this is where he's a little whiny, because even when he wins an award and Elise is happy for him, he just kind of schleps up the stairs going, it's just an award. What's an award for? It's like, come on. Get over yourself.
Oh, he's passive-aggressive as hell for the first two-thirds of this episode.
Very much so. Very much so. But he wants to... Here's what I find interesting is he wants to have a special, celebrate with Elise that night. Elise has all these people over. Did he not know that Elise was having, her...
Yeah, that was never mentioned to the husband. They didn't say, I'm having a meeting over at my house. When you get home from work, there'll be all bunch of yentas here.
Yeah. And you're taking up the whole entire living room. So... Yeah.
But also, I don't know whose credit this is due, but by the end of the episode, the argument that Stephen makes is, I've missed you all week. You haven't spent any time with me all week. Now, both of you are married. If your wife were to become very busy for the better part of 7 days, would you get this indignant?
No.
I could get pissy, I must say.
Yeah?
Really? I'm glad that you're honest. How many days could you go before you started to be like, why don't you ever give me a hug?
I could go 4 or 5 days.
All
right.
But I'd start to whine at a certain point.
I love it. What about you, Scott?
I wouldn't be upset. But I would get to the point. It's like I would definitely a bell would go off. It's like, we need to make time for each other. Like it's you know, I think if you're not aware of that, if you go 7 days and you're not aware, you haven't spent any time with your wife, there's something wrong with your marriage.
All right.
You
Okay,
know,
Paul,
yeah.
use your imagination. Pretend you had a relationship, okay?
Yeah.
I don't believe in love or companionship.
Okay.
I'm sort of like that song in the musical Hair, when it's like, you know, how can people be so cruel-hearted, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then especially people who care about strangers, who care about evil and social injustice. Yeah, I'm that guy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just picturing Paul singing that in the musical Hair right now.
I know.
Oh, my hair's
I'm
getting
just
pretty
picturing
low,
Paul being
guys.
Yeah.
You're picturing me being naked?
Yeah. If you're in Hair, you gotta be naked.
Yeah, man.
So yeah, okay, so Steven's like, all right, I get it. You have your meeting going on, and then we cut to the kitchen the next day, and Steven, it wouldn't be a final episode without a bunch of phone calls.
Phone calls. Here we go. We got 3 in one scene.
You gotta have the phone call bit. All to one person. This guy Guido at the Italian restaurant, trying to book the perfect table for a nice romantic evening.
But this is at the same time that Mallory is trying to get Mom to go to a mother-daughter yoga night.
Right. Which for the 80s, that was probably like another, like we talked about a couple episodes ago of the yogurt signifying liberalism. Yoga must have been the same kind of thing too.
Oh yeah, I'm sure people got the two confused. They were like, I don't know what is the difference between yoga and yogurt.
You stretch, then you eat it?
Yeah. Now I'm thinking of that Seinfeld scene where they're like, the seltzer. I asked for the salsa. The salsa. Oh.
And basically the back and forth of this scene is just when Steven has the arrangements made, something comes up for Elise. Now she has to go to Mallory to yoga. They have to push the time down. He gets a worse table. Then her friend calls up and she's very needy and needs to talk to Elise, so he has to call again. And it's very clear. Talk about passive-aggressive, Paul. I agree with you. Steven is so passive-aggressive in this scene.
Well, also, Guido, the guy that runs the Italian restaurant, where does he get off getting angry? He's still coming to the
changing the
restaurant.
reservation.
Yeah. And then
is that booked on a Thursday, Guido? It's an Italian restaurant in Ohio.
Yeah.
You should be happy somebody's there eating your fucking store-bought pasta.
Yeah. It's fucking Dayton, Ohio. It can't be that store-bought pasta.
Also, that Guido was also nonplussed by the egret's regret, that he also thought it was too liberal. So, whoa, I'm sorry, Guido. Are you like a Franco-fascist? What's going on here? Not Franco, I'm sorry, that's Spain. That's, no, what's his name? Mussolini.
Mussolini's Italian, yes.
Yeah.
Did you notice in this scene also that Mallory came in at one point and said, hey, Mom, there's a call for you on the other line. It was the first time I realized they had 2 lines in the house.
No, Corey, remember
yeah.
a couple episodes ago, they talked about only having the one phone.
Right.
And then I said that I had watched this episode already and that they have more than one line.
Okay, that's what it was. I knew that we talked about it in some way. This was the episode where they announced they have another line, but they hadn't used it all season.
Yeah, and it's 1983. These motherfuckers are rich.
Having 2 phone lines.
That's like having 3 cars. Like, good lord.
That's like that would be a couple years later like having HBO.
Yeah, like, you know what? It's so funny. This is 2015 and Back to the Future 2 and all that. Like, people are obsessed with it, 30 years since the original, this is when they would go to the future and stuff like that. But having 2, or for people today, young kids listening to this, having 2 phone lines in 1985 was as crazy as having the 2 televisions in 1955. When they're like, oh, you had 2 televisions? You must be rich. This is as crazy as that.
And when this was going on, we were a little too young to care about a telephone, but by the time we actually cared about talking on the phone or having friends that we could call, I remember having to beg your parents, can we get another phone line so I can call my friend? I remember that. Yeah. So, It's looking like, so they come to a nice compromise. They have kind of this passive aggressive fight around the kids, but they come to a nice compromise. It's like, okay, Elise, you go do what you have to do. Go talk to your friend, and when you come back, I will have a nice dinner prepared for us. And it was nice. I mean, it was kind of nice. Okay, that's a good compromise. All right.
And I thought she was actually very nice to agree, considering Michael Gross had the sweatiest armpits at the end of this scene.
That's not the first time you've mentioned this, Corey.
No, we're tying everything together this episode.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the watchdog of those armpits. He had giant sweat stains on his white shirt when he hugged her at the end of the scene. It was like, oh, come on, Michael, gross. That is gross. That was ridiculous.
Oh! Like he's never heard that before, Corey.
I know.
Poor man.
I know. I love him. I think he's a terrific actor, but boy, he's
fantastic. Yeah. Well, between him and Michael J. Fox, you'd think they would make some kind of note about the lights on that set. All right. So we cut to very late that night, early morning, like I'm guessing like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Steven, they're in the bedroom. Steven has put the meal up in the bedroom.
It took a couple watches for me to realize that it was the bedroom they were in.
Me too. I was like, where is he with this table? And he is like silhouette sipping a glass of wine, and Elise comes in, and it felt like very murder mystery kind of thing where he's like, hello, Elise.
Yeah, all the lights are off when she comes in, and he's standing there by the window drinking.
He's been sitting in the dark drinking. And there's a gun in the house.
Who's eating dinner in their bedroom?
Yes.
We know this house. There's a staircase from the so he's been preparing stuff in the kitchen and putting it on like chafing dishes in the bedroom with sterno cans underneath it.
And he cooked veal.
Well, Corey, these rich fucks with their 2 phone lines, you probably got it catered.
Oh yeah.
I forgot how rich they are.
They got 2 phone lines. They got veal. Oh,
it's true. Look at that veal, 2 phone lines, dinner in the bedroom. They're living the life.
Yeah. But we come to find Steven is pissed. This is the second time we've seen like a really honest fight between him and Elise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was actually. I thought it was a good argument.
And Meredith Baxter Birney is awesome in this.
She is.
She gets right in his face. It's awesome.
Yeah, and I'll bring this up. I'm going to predict. I mean, this will take probably 2 years for us to watch all this and review and everything. But for listeners, this will be like 4 years from now. However,
probably so.
The performance in the scene, the honesty and vulnerability and the anger that Meredith Baxter shows in this scene is exactly the same level of intensity that she gives to Michael J. Fox in the final scene.
You're right.
Of Family Ties. And it's just, it's like she has multitudes. I don't know what that poem is, but she just has these, like, depths of hurt and anger where she's saying, like, what do you want me to do? And do you want me to be proud of you? I'm proud of you. Want me to tap dance for you and all this stuff? And it's just so... It's like a real wife and a real husband arguing, and it's just not like any stupid sitcom argument, and it's really exciting to watch. And that's what part of the thing that makes me really love this episode more than I should.
I totally agree with you, Paul. There was a reality to this episode that I don't remember in a lot of the other shows. There was something that was very real and vulnerable and just right, where people were expressing their emotions in the way that you express emotions, sometimes with anger and sometimes with kindness. But they were definitely expressing themselves in an honest way, and it was being received in an honest way.
Yeah, I made the same note. I was like, I was really trying to think of a sitcom around this time where you saw a fight like this. And the first one I went to, I was trying to think Cosby Show, and I was like, no, I never saw them fight. If anything, their relationship stayed the same. It was always, Claire was always so much smarter than Cliff. Always. You never saw any vulnerability with Claire.
And even in a show going, 20 years past there to like Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
Same with Deborah was always much brighter than Ray. and she was always logical, and he was always stupid.
Yeah,
And never saw
the
never
equal
a fight
footing
like this.
you never find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and this is a show where we didn't make either Stephen or Elise buffoons. They're both very bright. They both are very feeling people, and I think they kept them going toe-to-toe almost the entire series.
Yeah.
I also did make a note, since Corey brought up buffoon, I did like the fact Elise kind of did a Steve Martin line. Where she goes, "Well, excuse me!" You didn't fully do it, but it was there. It was great. So.
Yeah.
So it's this horrible fight, and then there was a moment that really makes you hate Steven, is where he comes, they fight, he's going to go sleep downstairs because that's the man's prerogative. And then he comes walking out, and Elise, remember how we always used to, made that agreement about never going to bed argument, resolving our problems? And she's like, "Oh, Steven," and she was like, "It's off," and goes back downstairs. It's like, that's really childish. Come on. Yeah.
He was pissed off.
He was very pissed off.
And then we go to Act 2. Do you want to take a break before we start Act 2?
Let's take a break.
Absolutely, sure, yeah. Something clever, and we're going to take a break. All right, we're back.
Please be sure to tweet us what clever thing you thought of for us in there. At QTWFT. All right, so after this horrible fight, it's the next day, and Elise has decided, she's trying to, I guess, in her way, apologize to Steven, get past this. She's dressed really nice. She has Ravage Me perfume.
I guess my question for you guys is, and if this only occurred to me when we got into the scene a little, and this explains what an idiot I am, is her intention to have sex with him from the very beginning of the scene?
I think so.
I think it's definitely going to lead. The evening is going to lead there. Absolutely.
Okay. It took me a while to figure out, she's getting rid of the kids, she's all dressed up, she's wearing Ravage Me perfume. This is all leading towards makeup sex.
Yeah, absolutely.
To the point that she says it more or less to the kids.
Yes, I put that. It's like the kids were kind of hit that they're going to do
that. I realized it. It was like, oh my God, she's telling them that we're going to have sex. Go away, have fun. We'll see you in a few hours.
Yeah. Literally, like he's coming home for dinner, and she's to Alex. She's saying, be home by 9:30. Like
that's what she said.
Yeah.
Your dad pops in 2 minutes, so it'll be fine.
I'm gonna knock this out.
It's been a week, so I'm sure he's pent up, and
yeah.
This won't take long, kids. You'll be home before 10. Trust me.
There you go. And Steven comes in sulking. He's still mad. He just doesn't want to make up. He doesn't feel like it. And Elise explains that, hey, I'm sending the kids away. Let's have a nice dinner. And Steven's all on board. Didn't take much.
Just like a man.
And so he rushes upstairs again. They're going to be the Keatons, if anything, they are formal. We have said this time and again. Steven is going to go upstairs and get a nice suit on. He's going to look good.
Okay, there was the other thing I wanted to say. So you come home, and I'm not so sure I go and put on a jacket and tie when I come home to have a nice dinner with my wife.
No.
Well, that's the thing that confused me, is that are they due to go out, or are they going to stay in?
I think they're dressing up to stay in.
Yeah.
Because here's my plan. Here's the Paul Packler evening after having had a fight. You come
Once
home
again,
and
Paul is single. Go for it.
Yeah. I've never been to jail, and I've never been married. So let me explain how this is going to track. We had a fight the night before. I come home. My wife's getting rid of the kids, and then she's like all dressed up, and she's wearing Ravage Me parentheses fuck me perfume, and she's like, well, I thought the kids would leave and we would have a nice evening, and she's like dressed up, and so she'd be like, well, do you want to go out to Chipotle, Paul, or do you want to go to Max and Irma's or Chili's? And we would ultimately have sex and then be like, you know what, I'm not even that hungry. Let's just order some pizza. but the sex is the first thing that happens. So for him to get dressed to go out to dinner is insane.
Mm-hmm. I felt more comfortable when he came down in his boxer shorts, and I thought, well, that's the appropriate outfit, Steve.
Yes, yes. He's like,
jacket,
God, all I wanted was to go out to California Pizza Kitchen.
Come home and screw.
Hold 1 second for editing, guys.
Go, sure.
It's okay, we're good then.
Oh, okay.
You can say hi to the guys.
Hi, Carrie.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. Just getting ready for the little man to go down. We were just talking about marriage, baby.
Where's Henry? Hi, Henry.
And we talked about what a great head of hair you have.
Yeah, I'm really jealous. I'm trying to grow mine out to look like you.
It looks like your hairstyle, Paul.
Yeah, it sure does. Yeah. We're on the same track, Paul. You're doing all right.
He's way beyond. I don't even know if I'll ever be able to tackle that. Oh, look at that's so nice.
One haircut in.
Yeah, he's only had one.
Wow.
Him anyway.
Yeah. Can you say goodnight to them?
Henry. Good night.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Wait, Henry, do you have any perspectives on marriage relations in the 1980s?
Do you love mommy? Do you love daddy? Yeah, okay.
That works. That counts.
Good?
We're good.
He loves mommy and daddy.
All right.
Nice. That was cute.
Yeah, he's adorable. He's been so much fun lately. Like, he's just into everything, talking. It's amazing.
That's cool.
It's amazing. Yeah, you can actually have a conversation with him. It's incredible.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's so cool. Okay, breaking back for editing. Before we do that, where were we, Paul?
I was talking about marriage and sex in California Pizza Kitchen.
Okay.
We're right before the girls barge in scene 1 of Act 2.
Okay, so picking up editing now. So all this is about to happen, and then all of a sudden, they are swarmed with the PTA women. It is an emergency. The bill is going to a vote early the next day, and they have to get their shit together. And it couldn't come at a worse time. Elise is trying to negotiate it, trying to get them outside. Steven comes running down in a shirt, tie, and just his boxers, while Elise is trying to take care of them outside. And again, asking, where's my wife?
And then the women scream to Elise, it's important that we take action tonight, which puts her in a very bad position.
Yeah.
Now, let me jump in with this thought that, I feel like this is Gary David Goldberg undercutting feminism once again. That, like, this whole episode, I don't know what the fuck this political thing is all about. Like, I don't know what they're fighting for. I don't know what they're fighting against. And I feel like it's because this is all women. If this is just some rezoning thing, where it's like trying to keep out condominiums from going into like the swamplands of Columbus or something, that's fine. But it's all women, so it's almost built to be, look how silly what these women care about is. I feel that pervading this whole subplot.
Yeah, I actually wrote down, it's like, why is this group all women? It's not like a woman's issue. It's just it was really strange.
Yeah.
And confusing. So they're trying to get the ladies out, and it starts to rain. God forbid they can't walk to their cars.
Yeah, I thought they're all the Wicked Witch of the West. All of them are going to melt in the rain.
Yeah.
So they can't go out. And Elise and Steve even agree. Oh, they can't go out. It's raining too hard.
When inclement weather affects the Keaton family, everyone comes in and they break out the photo album.
Yes.
Yeah. And so the rest of the episode is just a bunch of flashbacks to
that lead to nothing and will ruin any holiday for you. So I'll give Steven credit here. Steven sucks it up and is like, okay, you can stay here. You can work on whatever you need to work on, and we'll have dinner in the dining room. And then we get to the most annoying scene of this episode.
I gotta tell you, I wrote the same thing down. It says on my paper, this is the most annoying scene in the episode. It was such a stock scene for me. It was like, if you're going to write a list of rules not to do in a sitcom, this is one of them. Don't begin to interrupting constantly. That's all.
I wrote down, is that the only way she can get to the living room? Is there not another door to go around where she doesn't have to interrupt them?
Isn't this the first time we've seen this set, this dining room set in the house?
That's what I couldn't remember.
It's the second, because they had the set when Grandpa came over. They had dinner there.
They also had the
floor plan, though. I was like you, Scott. Is this the only way to get to the kitchen through the dining room?
The pilot episode when Alex has the blonde girl over for the rich girl at the racist country club, they also are having dinner at the dining room table, but we only see it in these early episodes, and we never truly understand the geography because we see the kitchen and we see the living room, and we guess that upstage exit that they go through is what connects to the dining room, but we have no idea how it actually is set up.
Right. I think we were all trying to figure out the floor plan. It was like I don't understand the traffic pattern that's going on in this house right now.
Yeah, and I feel like the only way dining room. Sorry, Scott.
I was going to say if that's the only way they can get into the kitchen is through the dining room, then that's a really horrible floor plan.
It's
and I hope Elise didn't design the house.
That's another thing about their marriage. She's constantly like haranguing him about the floor plan. She's like, I could have done so much better.
I could have built a 3D floor plan for our house.
Yeah. If only you'd gone to the NBC affiliate instead of PBS, we could have gotten a house with a better floor plan.
Man, Jesus. So what annoys us so much, dear listeners, is as they're trying to have this meaningful dinner where they're, apologizing to each other, catching up with one another. Steven's really kind of trying to pour his heart out. Bernice, and I'm pretty sure it's Bernice, keeps popping in on them to the point where she's like engaging them about the dinner that they're having. It's like, isn't this romantic? Like making her like the third wheel of this dinner.
Mm-hmm.
It's just.
I don't. Oh God, Bernice is just the worst character.
She's awful.
I'm trying to think of characters I've hated more in the past, and I just can't think of a one.
She trumped Jeff for me. I hated Jeff, and I think I hate Bernice more.
Yeah, Jennifer tries. Jeff, I feel like, is going away anyway.
Right.
Bernice is like this flash in the ether, or in the spheres. Like she's just this, she just flashes with the brightness of awful for such a.
And she'll slowly dim out, because I guarantee you we'll hear Bernice's name again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to the point that she's standing in the doorway, and Steven is saying how much he loves and misses his wife, and that there's a moment where, when he left their bed and slept on the couch, how awful it felt to not sleep next to her. They haven't spent a day apart since they got married. And as this is going on, Bernice starts singing.
Yes.
You must remember this. A kiss is still a kiss. It's like, oh God, shut up.
They turn and look at her, and then she's surprised that they looked at her. Not that.
Yes. She's offended almost.
Yeah, like, you were singing loudly, Bernice. Sound travels. That's how physics work.
This is a social cue, Bernice.
She sense that they were having a heart-to-heart talk?
Apparently not.
Their body language certainly read that they were having a heart-to-heart talk. They were in the living room alone. If you have guests in the house and you're not with the guests and you're talking to your husband, I'm going to make the assumption that it's an important conversation.
Yeah.
Elise even told them, look, this is a special night for me and my husband. We can't put it off anymore. And Steven's being nice, like, okay, fine, we'll move to the, we'll be accommodating. And they just still she keeps coming back and forth, ruining it.
Yeah, unless one of you two is talking to, like, Justin Roller or something, if I saw the two of you talking to him, I would interrupt with a song, like I would serenade you. But beyond that, I would
Right.
never serenade two people having a conversation.
Because that's what Justin would want.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. He'd probably join in.
He probably would. He probably would.
Yeah.
So, Bernice, for like the 5th time, runs in and like they need more congressmen to vote against the bill. They're so close, and asking Elise, "Do you know anybody?" Elise throws her name. Stephen picks back up his conversation again, saying how much he's missed her and how no matter what they should always remember their marriage. And then in the middle of it, Elise says another senator's name and has to run out and tell Bernice. And that's when Stephen's just had it. And Corey, I'm with you. This is where Stephen's whininess is kind of acceptable.
Absolutely. She really is ignoring him now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's not there. She's not present.
No, she's not present for him right here. So and he needed this moment. He needed this evening. She knew that he needed it, or else she wouldn't have told the girls that he needed it.
Right. Right.
And that's the thing that's so wonderful about this episode is, like in that scene in the bedroom when he's, drunk at midnight, he totally loses me because all of his arguments that he makes toward Elise are not justified, whereas this one is so justified. And it's so wonderful that you see over time that their arguments shift, and it's just like a real argument between two people in a relationship. And that's what's so wonderful about this episode is that it's not a one-sided affair. It's constantly shifting, and your allegiance is shifting.
I agree with you, Paul. I mean, it's very real, and I really like the moment when Elise says another senator's name because I've been caught in that. It's like I'm not present, even though I'm here with you. I'm
still thinking of something else, right?
My mind is somewhere else, and to have that address is like, no, this is bad communication. This is what causes marriages to be rough. I thought it was a great moment. And so Stephen takes off. We cut back to the kitchen later. To the living room later, and Elise is kind of hanging her head on the couch. And Stephen comes in soaked. He's been walking around in the rain for hours.
His hair looked great, though.
It did.
It really did, yeah.
Not as good as yours, Corey, right now.
No, I know.
But
I'm crazy tonight.
it looks great. It looks great.
Hey, keep it up. I don't know if you haven't showered in a few days or if
Keep
it's
it.
just...
It's the bourbon and the Vicodin, but it looks...
I'm on the bourbon Vicodin diet.
Yeah.
If your liver failure is causing your hair to spike up, I don't know what it is. But it's gorgeous.
It looks great.
Thank you.
It looks great. I really like the conversation that Stephen and Elise have, where Elise is kind of communicating, I was brought up to believe of being this old-fashioned wife, of doting on her husband, and because of you, because of the person you are, you gave me that, or you helped me see that I was more than just a wife. You let me be more than just a wife, and that's why
it's the double-edged sword. He's let her do all these things, or he's encouraged her, not let her like he's in charge of her, but he's encouraged her to do all these things with her life and has supported her wholeheartedly through it, that when he has a moment where he wants some attention or needs something from her and she's unavailable, he realizes that there's an emptiness there for him. And she realizes in turn that she takes him for granted.
Now, the thing that makes this sort of dated is that sort of phrasing. Not that you're saying what you're saying, Corey, but like that this episode couldn't have been, you know what, Stephen is doing too many projects. Why can't, Elise is missing him. That's what makes this very 80s. Like Kramer versus Kramer is one of my favorite movies as far as, once again, relationships and the performances therein and all that kind of stuff. But it's very 80s, and it's got a lot of chauvinistic stuff underneath it all. And, I would have loved to have seen an episode where, Stephen is doing too much outside of the home and Elise wants him around. That would have been an equally interesting episode.
Yes.
Or do you think, just to play devil's advocate, Paul, do you think it would have, the writing of it would have to be such where it didn't look like the man doing all the work bringing home the bacon? You know what I mean? Like a 1950s kind of thing, like you're always away, you're always working kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a good point. I don't know, based on the times and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
just wondering. Yeah.
how it would come across, like, semiotically or whatever, but, like, yeah, that would be an interesting point to make that, I don't know, it would be something for them to deal with.
Yeah, I think
Nowadays, I wouldn't think that would be the case, but who knows?
Yeah, just curious. And so, as great as this episode was, the ending wasn't that great. It kind of just, they have a hard time sticking their landing at the end of these episodes lately.
Oh, yeah, she talks about the things that she's willing to throw under the bus.
Yeah.
She lists clean air, Planned Parenthood.
And sex without partners?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. And it just kind of, and even the audience didn't know when to laugh.
Yeah.
It kept fading, like it just kind of faded out into the distance. Yeah. But I'm inclined to agree with you. Like, I think my biggest note at the beginning of this was, man, for this episode, there's not a lot of laughs, but the topic, the performance is amazing. It's really good and very, very real, and nothing that I can remember seeing on television at the time, and maybe not since. You rarely see in sitcom world couples fight like this.
Yeah, I feel like if this episode had a few more jokes, this would be the episode I would point to at the end of this whole podcast and say, this was the best episode, because it was exactly what Gary David Goldberg wanted to do. Like Kevin Smith, like Mallrats, which one's better, or Dogma, or whatever. To me, Clerks is the best because it's the raw attempt of what the artist wanted to say. And to me, this episode is that.
I agree, Paul.
Yeah.
I thought the exact same thing at the end. As I thought that they did, as a writing staff and as a production team, exactly what they wanted to do at the end of their first season, which showed that this is a very strong family with both a strong mother and a strong father, and actually three very strong children.
Yeah.
And that's the way they're being raised. And we went back to the original idea, which is this is about a marriage and their three children. And we went back to the marriage.
Right.
And it was so nice not having a heavy social topic involved. Like, it was just about the characters and their lives.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, guys, let's get ready. Next week, we're going to be doing a review of Season 1, yeah?
We're going to do a bonus episode. Hopefully it'll work. The premise of what we're going to do next week is, instead of reviewing the whole season, which we've sort of done over the course of this episode, we are going to try to write our own Season 1 episode of Family Ties. Like, we're gonna pitch out 3 different premises that we've all come up with, and then see which one we like the best, and then break the story. So figure out, how the plot would work, if there would even be a B story, and then from there, figure out the act-outs of when the commercials would happen, and figure out how the script would go. We wouldn't write the whole thing, but we'd come up with scenes and what funny things would happen. So that will be our next week's episode. Hopefully it'll work.
we are going to pretend that we are on the writing staff of Family Ties. If only they were still writing it. This would be a great pitch.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that's about wraps it up for us. Be sure to rate and like our Facebook page, and rate and review our show on iTunes. For questions and comments, email us at qualitytimewithfamilyties@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at Qtwft for updates. Each of us is also on Twitter. You can follow me at FollowJones.
I'm at Paul Packler.
I'm at Corpep.
And we'd like to thank our host and producer, Barbara Dillon, at Fanboy Comics. Fanboy Comics is an online conglomerate of geek media providing its readers with daily reviews, interviews, and podcasts that span the pop culture spectrum. Check them out at fanboycomics.net. We also like to thank Perry Adams, who beautifully performs the Family Ties theme song, Without Us. Be sure to check out Perry's website at perryadams.com. We also like to thank Brian Dillon, who created our fantastic drawing and artwork, as well as edits our show. Brian is the president and co-founder of Fanboy Comics, and follow him on Twitter at Comic Book Slayer. Also, Sean Foster, Fanboy Comics graphic designer, for designing our logo. Thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.